What's up guys, and welcome back to another video on the MF Automotive YouTube channel, and today I bring you a review on the 23 Kia Sportage. Not just any Sportage though, but the X-Line limited all-wheel drive trim, which among the many trim levels available on the Sportage between Canada and the US, kinda sits at the very top. More on those trim levels and well the entire vehicle in a bit, but first, who do we have to thank for today's review? Of course, the awesome folks over at Trento Kia, who are really gracious enough to provide this example to review. So if you guys could be really awesome and at the very least visit their website and see what they have in stock, and who knows, they may have something that you like. So again, a big thanks to them, and all their contact information can be found below. So with that, back to the review. The Sportage was first introduced to the world back in 1993 and was a joint project between Ford, Mazda, and of course Kia. Fast forward nearly 3 decades though, and before you stands the 5th generation of Kia's compact crossover. As you know, that segment has become, well, quite hot in recent years, and the new Sportage here is up against some rather tough competition with some old nameplates, such as the Toyota RAV4, Ford Escape, Hyundai Santa Fe, Mitsubishi RVR, Nissan Rogue, Chevrolet Equinox, and I mean the list just goes on and on and on. And of course, before I forget, you also have the offerings from GMC. So to begin, the Sportage is available in 6 trim levels here in Canada and 7 across the border. The trim guide in Canada goes something like this. We have the LX, which is the entry-level model that has a starting price of just over 28,000 Canadian dollars. Then we have the LX all-wheel drive, which just adds all-wheel drive to the LX trim, nothing really else. Then we have the X-Line, which is offering a more rugged exterior look. Then we have the EX, which is the more opulent offering. We have the EX Premium, which just kind of adds more tech features to that EX all-wheel drive trim. And finally, we have the X-Line Limited trim, which sits at just under $41,000 Canadian and is a combination of the rugged exterior found on the X-Line with a plethora of tech and driver assist features from the EX Premium. So, the trim guide in Canada is pretty simple. If you go on the US side of things, it is a bit more complicated. We have the same LX as the entry-level trim that starts at just under $26,000 US. Then we have the EX, we have the X-Line, we have the SX and SX Prestige, which are kind of a substitute to the EX and EX Premium in Canada. And you also get a really bright looking interior on the SX, which is really cool. I think it's the only vehicle in this class that kind of offers that. And then finally, we have the X Pro, which is the really rugged trim, and it's actually made for off-road use. So it comes with beefier tires, smaller wheels to cope with that rough terrain, and these can also be had in a two-tone exterior, meaning you can get a different color on the top, kind of a glossy dark color on the top, or a light color on the bottom. This retails for just over $36,000 USD. So how exactly do these trims differentiate? Well, by equipment and price, of course. I have said it before and I'll say it again. You do not need to splurge and spend the extra cash on a higher trim level if all you're after is basic transportation. The base trim is more than equipped with everything you need on a daily basis. So for example, the Canadian LX trim includes things like automatic LED headlights, an 8-inch infotainment display with CarPlay and Android Auto integration, heated front seats, 17-inch wheels, heated mirrors, USB Type-C and regular ports in the front, and a plethora of driver assist features. So under the hood, the Sportage can be had in 3 different configurations: a gasoline variant, a hybrid, and a PHEV or plug-in hybrid. The gasoline variant gives you a 2.5-liter inline 4-cylinder good for 187 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. Similarly, it's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. This powertrain and transmission combo is standard regardless of what trim level you opt for. So it doesn't matter if you go for the LX or the top-of-the-line X Pro, you'll get the same powertrain if you go for the gasoline configuration. Next, we have the hybrid variant, known otherwise as the Sportage HEV. That gives you a 1.6-liter turbo 4, which combined with an electric motor makes 227 horsepower and 228 pound-feet of torque. That instead is paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission. Finally, we have the PHEV, which we don't have too much information on because it's yet to arrive, but what we do know is it will have a similar 1.6-liter turbo 4 to the HEV, but since it is plug-in, it offers electric-only range. How much, you ask? Well, 32 miles, which Kia gives as an estimate. So moving forward, the drivetrain situation is a combination of all-wheel drive and front-wheel drive. All-wheel drive is pretty much standard in all trims in Canada, but the base LX, and in the US you can pretty much get front-wheel drive on all the trims except for the more rugged offering like the X Pro and the X Line. A center locking differential can also be had on those more rugged offerings. Fuel economy ratings for this engine are as follows, and Kia recommends using 87 grade fuel, which is regular of course, and it has a fuel tank capacity of 14.3 gallons. Towing capacity differs based on what equipment you have, but Kia says you can tow a maximum of 2,500 pounds if equipped with the proper towing equipment. Now, let's quickly go over the exterior and point out some key features. If you look through the different generations of the Sportage over the years, you'll notice how they kind of started off squarish with the wheel on the back, as you remember the first generation had, and they gradually adopted a more round design over the years, which still continues to this day. On the outside, you can see this X-Line gets the more rugged trim, which includes a slightly different grille, restyled lower front fascia, and more plastic cladding on the side and back. This is also finished off in a beautiful shade of dark blue, or what Kia calls its blue as Vesta Blue. It is a $250 option here in Canada, but just look at how it sparkles under some light. It truly is spectacular. Ignoring my slight distraction there over obsessing over the blue paint, let's move on. And there is lots to talk about in terms of key features. So in the front, you get full LED headlights, and on this particular one, we get projector beam setup because it is the X-Line Limited. If you don't go for the X-Line Limited, you still get LEDs, but you won't get the projector setup. That's available, I believe, on EX Premium and up here in Canada, and SX Prestige and up in the States. The lower front fascia sports these rectangle fog lights, which kind of blend in with the other trim around it on the X Pro and X Line trims, but other trim levels get a different lower front fascia. Again, fog lights are standard on EX and up, and SX Prestige and up in the States. We also get parking sensors up front in the form of these small circles darted across the front and back. On EX Premium and SX Prestige, you get front sensors, but all other trims get rear sensors standard. Moving to the side profile reveals these wheels, which are exclusive to the X-Line and kind of offer a two-tone look. My favorite wheels are the ones you get on the SX Prestige or EX Premium. They kind of have a diamond finish on the lip and kind of a black center in the kind of a darker center in the middle. So that's a look I really like. And if you're curious, they are 19 inches in diameter. The mirrors are also finished in this glossy dark color on X-Line and X Pro trims. All other trims get body colored mirrors. Feature stuff like heating and an integrated turn signal. The turn signal is available on basically everything but the base model, and heating is of course standard too. Last but not least, in the back we have the aforementioned additional cladding on the lower portions, and LED lights also make their way back here like they do on the front, but I believe they are optional in the back. So, as much as I like the exterior of this crossover, the interior is just look at that panoramic monitor setup up front. It's kind of the first thing that really grabs your eyes when you look at a picture or you see it in person. It's even better in person. It's a combination of two displays, each measuring about 12.5 inches each. And yes, this isn't the first time we're seeing a panoramic display like this, but the integration is truly seamless for a vehicle in this segment and price point. It is really remarkable. Now that I'm done obsessing over the screens, let's talk about the use of materials. So the top of the dashboard is covered in this soft rubber-like material, which appears to feature stitching, but upon closer inspection, I believe it's not real. Also, the soft touch does not extend all the way to the back. You see that lifted portion all the way in the back? Yeah, that's just hard plastic, but it does have a rubberized texture to it. Similarly, the door panels feature the same soft touch materials found on the dash, minus the stitching at the very top. The middle features this padded section, and the door poles are wrapped in leather with this lovely stitching that runs down the middle. The bottom of the door panel near the storage section is hard plastic, but it's quite common to see in this class of vehicle. However, what I would have liked to see is some padding in the driver footwell, something to rest their legs against. I'm going to come back to the screens for just a bit here. So firstly, you don't have to opt for the highest trim level to get them, which Kia, you're amazing for doing, because they could have easily made it exclusive to the SX Prestige or X-Line Limited trims, which sit at the very top, but it can be had on trims above the EX. Again, going back to my statement about not opting for the highest trim level. Being digital, of course, gives you the chance to change the display graphic, and you can, depending on what mode you're in. So you have three to choose from. You have Smart, Sport, and Normal. Each of these modes plays an interesting graphic when selected. The screen in the center is nearly as identical and offers navigation, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto integration, along with a plethora of different options. Graphics are pretty good for the most part, certainly better than what Kia informed. This X-Line trim is also equipped with what Kia calls the surround view monitor system, or what's known in the industry as a 360 camera. It's available on SX Prestige and Up in the US and X-Line Limited here in Canada. It makes parking in cramped areas with the front and rear sonar really easy. In conjunction with that feature is one called Blind View Monitor, which gives you a visual live view of your blind spot in real time, which is a nice convenience feature. Below the display will give you a glance of the small portion which houses the climate radio controls, and here is where Kia has implemented a clever feature. So instead of having 2 knobs for the climate and 2 for the radio, either one up top or one below, they have instead given you the option to switch between the 2 modes, and giving so allows you to operate the temperature volume tuning functions just from 2 knobs alone. They're controlled via this touchscreen, which I admit isn't the most intuitive thing, but you gotta admit that functionality to switch is pretty unique. However, if you offer the LX trim, you'll have to adjust your climate the old-fashioned way by using hard buttons, of course, and I think I prefer that a little more, to be completely transparent. Also present within the interior is a wireless charging pad and a plethora of power sources to plug into, a USB Type-C port, USB Type-A port, and a 12-volt outlet to be specific. Heated cooled seats for both the front passenger as well as heated wheel are available for you at your fingertips, and in the same vicinity as a start button available on X-Line here in Canada and EX up in the States. Your car mode selector, some miscellaneous car functions, and the gear lever, which let me just touch on for a minute. I mean, Kia is capable of designing some gorgeous interiors as evident by this new Sportage, but why does they insist on using this T-shaped shifter on virtually every model, which just makes the cabin look dated? So yeah, that's just another small gripe of mine. And before I forget, the heated seats are standard in Canada, but you have to opt for the EX to get them in the States. Cooled seats are available on EX Premium up in Canada and SX Prestige up in the States. The seats are power operated for both the driver and passenger and feature 2-person memory for the driver, and also feature this unique pattern reserved for the more rugged X-Line and Pro models. Reserved for SX Prestige and up in the States and EX Premium up here in Canada. The pedals are also striking to look at, finished in alloy. This is available on X Pro in the US and EX Premium here in Canada. Looking up top will reveal interior lighting, which is LED on anything SX and up in the States and EX Premium up in Canada. We also have this massive moonroof, which stretches quite back. It's standard on all SX and EX Premium trims. It can be had on lower trim levels as well as part as an additional options package. Backseat passengers are also treated to some niceties such as rear climate vents, USB Type-C ports integrated within the backs of the front seats, heated seats, and these functional headrests, which also double down as a place to hang something. The center armrest can fold down, revealing additional cup holders, and unlike traditional fold down center consoles, which are, well, kind of flimsy, this kind of locks into place. USB Type-C ports in the back are reserved for SX in the States and EX in Canada. The liftgate in the back is power operated on certain models and comes with what Kia calls their smart power liftgate, which essentially means if you're carrying things and stand near the backside, the liftgate will open on its own. It can also be opened from the fob, and if you choose to close it with the fob, you kind of have to hold the button down all the way until it's kind of done. I guess that's for safety purposes. So anyway, once you get inside, you have access to 39.6 cubic feet of space if the second row is folded up, and if you fold down the seats, they can fold in a 60-40 split. And they kind of click into place, giving you a sense of security. If you have those seats folded down, which they do fold down flat, then you kind of double down your space almost and have nearly 75 cubic feet of space. Well guys, that wraps up my review on this 23 Kia Sportage. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Again, a huge thanks to Trento Kia. Please check them out, link in the description box below, and I will catch you in the next video.